Hey everyone, this is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Happy Monday, everybody. Today we're going to take a look at Pluto in Capricorn and some of the parting lessons that Pluto in Capricorn will surely not want us to forget. I have a feeling that these are some of the lessons that we will be revisiting, that we've been visiting very slowly and gradually to the point where, it's like fish in water. You don't even know that you're swimming in the waters of a long outer planetary transit. But we've been in Pluto in Capricorn territory in that water for a long time. So today I want to talk about 5 lessons that I think may get highlighted in these last couple of months while Pluto finishes up in Capricorn. And certainly these are things that I think it's always important to qualify that every planet in each different sign has different lessons that it will impart. And that does not mean that these are the only lessons or that there aren't other lessons. And that sometimes those lessons aren't even in a kind of polar opposite relationship with one another and that they push and pull in different directions. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, today we're going to talk about 5 lessons that Pluto and Capricorn won't let us forget. I think it'll be a kind of a fun way to start the week here. And before we get into it, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, share your comments and reflections. If you've got a good story to share, use the hashtag grabbed or email us your story grabbed at nightlightastrology.com. As always, transcripts of any of these daily talks can be found on the website, nightlightastrology.com. And today I am so happy to announce that registration is now officially open for the fall year 1 program. So our new cohort of the Nightlight Astrology Year 1 class, if you go to the courses page and go to first year course, we begin on November 16th. Registration is officially open today, which means that you can join with the pre-registration sale and save several $100s off the normal cost of the program. There is an enrollment plan, like a tuition payment plan that you can spread out over 12 monthly payments. And there's also an early bird price, and those prices will be available from today, September 9th, through October 15th. So you have about a month to take advantage of that sale. After October 15th, the normal course prices will be in effect. So a little bit of a chance to save here and join the new first year program that starts in November. It is a really good time to begin the program. And those prices, by the way, we haven't, the ones that if you just saw those on the screen, those are the normal prices. The registration early bird prices will be up. I'm recording this a few days before we've actually launched the new sale page on the website. So the old prices are showing. But yeah, the thing that is really nice about studying astrology at this particular moment is that we have Pluto moving into Aquarius at the outset of this program. And that ingress of Pluto into Aquarius is a fantastic electional signature for studying astrology. The other one that's happening within the course of study in the next year is Uranus's entrance into Gemini. All the air signs in particular are very, very conducive to getting a lot out of astrological learning programs. So I think it's just a really good year this year and next to begin unpacking this ancient technology and learning more about it. On the year, there's 30 webinar classes, and we have an interactive group forum discussion, tutoring, breakout study sessions. There's so much material that is there built into this program to help you succeed in starting a practice or in just learning the language so that you have the lifetime gift of knowing this language so that you can look at your own chart or the charts of people that you know, that you're close to, and use it as a tool for spiritual growth. So we have a lot of people that come in with intentions to study professionally. We have a lot of people who come in just wanting to do this for personal enrichment. Whatever the case might be, you are welcome. We hope that you will take advantage. If you are very brand new, you don't know anything, you may want to try the Astrology for Beginners course, which is just about 8 hours of content that will be like a prerequisite for total beginners. And I would take that first and then jump into the first year course in November. But because the first year course sort of assumes that you know a little bit about signs, planets, and houses already. But this isn't a class in ancient Hellenistic astrology. So if you're coming from modern astrology, this is also unlike anything you've ever studied before. And so prior background isn't enough to skip forward into our second and third year courses, because ancient astrology is a very particular school of astrology with some really unique teachings and methods. Not only that, but I like people to entrain themselves into a living lineage and really get to know me and the way that I do things with regard to client readings. In our year one program, we have a lot of live clients come into the classroom. So you get to learn my approach, not only on a theoretical, like historical and technical level, which may be sort of similar from one place to another in the Hellenistic world, but also how I do things, particularly with clients that I can show you and pass on to you. So anyway, the course starts in November. Hope to see some of you there. In this week, I'll be just sort of promoting the launching of registration and the sale. And then I believe next week I'll have an informational video that I'll be tagging onto the end of every daily video, so that if you wanted to stick around and learn more about the program, you could learn more about it that way. But for now, the sale starts today. Hope to see some of you in class soon. Okay, thank you for that. My promos will be short and sweet after this initial launch today. We are heading over to the transit bi-wheel page now, and I want to highlight this. Here's Pluto now back in Capricorn. This happened last week. And Pluto at the 29th degree of Capricorn. Let's go forward here. And we're going to see that Pluto stations and turns retrograde about mid-October, and then goes forward and comes back into Aquarius by late November. And that's why I was saying, by the way, just shameless plug for the program again, Pluto enters Aquarius literally just a couple of days after we begin the year one program. It is a fantastic election for this particular program. I think it's going to be one of the stronger programs we've had in a while. So anyway, Pluto's re-entrance into Aquarius, though, it means that we have about 2 more months of Pluto in Capricorn in front of us. I want to refresh on the kinds of lessons that Pluto in Capricorn is not going to let us forget, even though Pluto's moving on to Aquarius, moving into a different dimension and zone of archetypal significations in the sign of Aquarius. But what have we learned? What are some of the core takeaways that Pluto in Capricorn wants us to live on with, take with us? These are like takeaways that we've gotten from the whole experience. Now, maybe one of these is your takeaway and not the rest of them. That's okay. Maybe there's something that's not even on this list. That would be okay too. Remember that in my way of doing things, I try to pick up on archetypal themes and patterns that broadly signify some of the most reliable, the kinds of things that show up for a lot of us, basically. So, and some of these are edgy, right? These are Plutonian kinds of realities that are Capricornian at the same time. That Pluto element will bring us in touch with the subterranean, the instinctual, the primordial, the unconscious. And bringing us in touch with those powers is often an experience that we describe as destructive and regenerative. Transformational is a key word that we use. We always use the phrase death and rebirth, right? You guys have heard me hammer that button before. So anyhow, these Pluto in Capricorn lessons they're Capricornian, but they're also the depth, the power, the intensity, the edginess of some of these really come from the combination of Pluto being in the sign of Capricorn. But Capricorn is the sign of the sea goat. It is a feminine earth sign, tropical or cardinal, and it comes as the sun is lifting out of the darkness from within the dark half of the year, as the zodiac is symbolically oriented in the northern hemisphere. So remember, the zodiac is a symbolic orientation system, which means that you don't take it as literal and causal, which is why anyone can participate in its orientation regardless of what hemisphere they live in. Anyway, the number one lesson to me comes from understanding the binary between Cancer and Capricorn. If Cancer is the Earth Mother, then Capricorn is the Earth Father. That's something that Liz Green once said, and it's always stuck with me. The Earth Mother is the one that provides for us a sense of connectedness, nurturance. It's like the fostering and devotional attention and care and the growth that happens thanks to the mothering archetype or principle or energy, wherever it's found. And part and parcel of that mothering energy is the experience of safety and connectedness and a feeling of at-homeness. We make our home in the valley of this world. However, Capricorn is rooted in the recognition of an understanding of the world that comes from the top of the mountain, which means you have this broad understanding, a little bit of a distant and a little bit of a stoic understanding of the world that you inhabit. And in order to do that, you have to be taken out of the emotional nexus of safety, security, connectedness, which is very dreamy and milky. So that's very Cancerian. And you get pulled out of that to that kind of mountain perspective. It's a little cold, it's a little isolated, but it also, that perspective of Capricorn provides us with an understanding that, like, for example, these are Capricornian realizations. Everything, you look around, look at nature, everything's killing each other. I remember there's a great documentary about Taoist hermits that live in the mountains. It's called Among White Clouds, I think it's called. Beautiful documentary. If you ever get a chance to watch it, I loved it. But it was interesting because there was a documentarian. He was talking to a hermit, a Taoist hermit that lives in the mountains, and he was saying, "Do you feel like, when you go and meditate at the river, that you're like at one with nature?" It's kind of this, like, I don't know, just kind of a romantic, sentimental question. And the sage was just very sweet, very gentle, but very pointed. And he was like, if you want to know what nature really is, you go and sit there for a day or two on a rock in the river, and you'll find out what nature is. Which is that you'll get hungry, that there will be predators, that there will be coldness, right? So, and he's not like, truly, if you saw this man in the documentary, you would see that you're not looking at someone who's like a hard, cold, embittered person. This was a soft, gentle, serene looking, saintly hermit living in the mountains, practicing meditation and like looking very blissful. And yet, what he did was he sort of cut away at this sort of sentimental and a fantasy idea of nature that this documentarian had, that he imagined that the monk was living in harmony with. And he was like, clearly this man is living in the mountains on his own, foraging, and has a garden, and like he's living in nature. And he had a very realistic understanding of it, which is that nature is predatorial. Nature will involve privation and suffering and decay and competition. And it's not that nature isn't beautiful because of those things. It's that nature is beautiful because it includes those things. And if you're not aware of those things, then you don't really have a sense of what beauty is. You don't really have a sense of what safety is. And you don't really have a sense of what it means to be emotionally secure. There's some way in which, in order to be secure and at home in the world, we also can't ignore it for what it is. It is a place with, teeth and claws and blood. And I'm not saying that to be like, let me rain on somebody's parade. It's just a reality that Pluto in Capricorn will not let us forget, that your safety and your security, your at-homeness in the valley of this world, which we should all seek to nurture and create and try to foster as people among one another, care for one another, care for the earth. And, right? And there is a way in which survival and the sort of harshness of the world, if you get too far away from your understanding of it, you will be not living in a real sense of safety or connectedness or nurturance. You will be connected in a somewhat diluted and forgetful sense of it. And so Pluto in Capricorn, a planet that has so much to do with the subterranean and the primal understanding of darkness and of the claws of life and earth, will not have us forget that. So many things that come up while Pluto's in Capricorn are reminders that, just because you're living in, the 2020s doesn't mean that like real darkness and really heavy stuff is not still a very basic feature of life on earth. And it's not that that Pluto in Capricorn wants to rub our face in it. It's that Pluto in Capricorn doesn't want us to be naive. And so we can create a sense of being an adult with an adult understanding of nature, of the world, while also striving to create that sense of safety and nurturance. Number 2, your dreams are fantasies without sacrifice and hard work. Just like every one of them is just like, I pooped in your pool. That's 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 every single one of these Pluto and Cap realizations. I have Moon in Capricorn, so I delight in it. I find the like the sort of semi-cynical and like dark absurdist realities of Capricorn to be absolutely wonderful. I seriously enjoy life because I find these reminders to be like just humorous, and it's like they're heavy, but what can you do but laugh? So that's where I come at from all this. But anyway, so your dreams are fantasies without sacrifice and hard work. Fantasies are, it's not a crime to have a fantasy. It's not a crime to imagine. It's not, it's I think sometimes people think of Capricorn as a dream killer, or Capricorn as a sign that says your 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 imagination isn't real enough. No, I think that Capricorn, which has a watery tail and an earthly top half, right? The sea goat, is just very aware that for your dream to be anything other than childish and immature and lacking in substance, it needs to be put into action, and it needs to be made manifest. And for example, if someone is an imaginer, a dreamer, I don't think Capricorn is averse to like saying like, well, make art, make poetry, dance, sing. Like it's not that Capricorn says, look, unless you're building a skyscraper, if you're thinking or dreaming about artistic things, you're full of crap. I don't think Capricorn is anti-arts, anti-imagination, anti-romance, none of that stuff. Capricorn is merely like, don't sit around complaining or fantasizing or wishing or longing or yearning for things, which creates a kind of condemnation of the world, right? It's like, well, the world isn't good enough. I wish it was like this, or I wish I had that, or I wish I could be like this. Or I think Capricorn resents that kind of place of fantastical longing and yearning and complaining and childish fantasizing without action, without saying, you can build and make and create things, or you can literally do or embody things. It's a feminine earth sign. It doesn't mean, I mean, people frequently misunderstand Capricorn as patriarchy. And it's better to think about systems like that: patriarchy, matriarchy, socialism, democracy, monarchy, like any kind of system. It's better to think about them, instead of being associated with a sign, it's better to think about them in terms of how they can express, those systems can express and look different through the signs. So there's a way in which any sign can express a dimension of patriarchy or democracy or monarchy or something like that from a different angle. It's much better to use signs in that way than to be like, well, this system belongs to that sign, or this philosophy. No, there's like, existentialism can be expressed very differently through all the signs. For example, look no further than all of the examples of great existentialist thinkers who have radically different charts and express existentialism differently through the different signs. So anyway, all of that is just to say that it's not that Capricorn is fundamentally about making things that are traditional and conformist and patriarchal. It certainly can go in that direction, but it's more about just saying, don't let it just be some childish longing that you can't do anything about. Capricorn says, with work, with sacrifice, with determination, with discipline, with effort, you can take something that starts as a longing or a wish or a hope or a fantasy, and you can move it into manifestation. And your dreams and your longings are nothing. This is sort of Capricorn talking. It's nothing but whining and complaining, just a bunch of blibbering. Unless you just sort of saddle up and get to work and put in the discipline and the effort and the hard work and the sacrifice to take that beautiful longing and do something with it, other than, because if you don't, it'll become a childlike space of complaint and discontent. If it doesn't move, and there's so many ways in which it can move, just because if you like to imagine a lot or daydream a lot or fantasize a lot, there's nothing wrong with that temperamentally. It's just that if you don't use that inspiration in some way to shape and mold things in the world, then the Capricorn way of looking at it is to say you will become like uh, whiny and complainy and discontent and unrealistic, and you'll start to lack a grounded understanding of things. So, one of the most what do we do with kids when they're little? We give them space and we say, go imagine and create. And when kids get bored, like when my kids get bored, right? I'm like, okay, well, this is a really good opportunity for you. Like this summer and they're home from school, there's a lot of open space. This is an opportunity for you to get creative. And then kids get creative and they do something. They go create a fort. They go, they create a game. And those are imaginal worlds that are then created. They're actualized. Capricorn's like, if you're not actualizing the things that you dream about, it's kind of like you don't have any room to talk. These are a little harsh, right? But that's kind of the idea. Number 3, you aren't any better than anyone else. There's a thing that's like, it's real like I had an aunt who like anytime she saw me, she would call me her little shit. It's like she was from Detroit and she was kind of like gruff. Anyway, it was just a great aunt. It was my mom's aunts. But anyway, same kind of attitude, which is like your shit don't smell any better than anyone else's. But there's a tendency, especially through that polar opposite sign of Cancer and some of its regressive shadows, to feel like my situation, my needs, my problems, my wounds, my hurts are somehow make me better than other people. And it's not that all wounds are the same. It's not that everyone has an equal amount of baggage or that everyone has had an equal amount of devastating things happen. It's not like that at all. But from Capricorn's perspective, it's like whatever the case may be. And you don't have to agree with this, by the way. This is a particularly Capricornian way of looking at things. And there are other ways of looking at things. But Capricorn's point of view is like, whatever the case may be, you just have to embrace that this is the raw material of your life, that the divine, the gods have given you. Do something with it, become better because of it, make something out of it, and stop whining. That's so I just say it like that. It feels kind of good to get it out. but at the same time, it's like, no, truly, that does not have to negate that, pain is real, that suffering is relative, that people have very different experiences. So, but at the same time, there's this Capricornian way in which it's like, your shit don't smell any better than anyone else. Get up, get on your horse. Don't make any excuses. Nothing about you and what you're doing with your life makes you better than anybody else. Neither does any bad thing that has happened to you make you more special than anyone else. It's like, it's Capricorn is asking for us to just drop that particular lens. It's like, just stop looking at yourself through the lens of, your family baggage or the pain or the suffering. And Capricorn just wants us to be like earthly citizens. Like, you're not better than an ant or a frog or a tree. You're not better than the claws and teeth of nature. You're not better than anyone or anything else. You still have the same desires for safety. You still have the same issues with pain and suffering that everyone deals with on some relative level. And sort of like there's a way in which Capricorn cannot stand for the arrogance of thinking that you are special. This is why you'll often see, for example, some serious clashes between Capricorns and Leos, by the way. Well, there's different archetypes that do different things for us. Sometimes we need to go to like the school of Capricornian hard knocks where we're just reminded that like, yeah, there's aardvarks and there's little dogs and big dogs and there's humans, and there's stars and there's plants. Like, you're not anything special. You're just a part of creation. And Capricorn wants us to cut away at the narratives that really try to deal with a sense of displacement or lack of at-homeness or lack of safety or lack of nurturance through some kind of over-coddling stories that we like, the stories that we tell ourselves that like over-coddle Capricorn is kind of like just expose yourself to the elements of life. Let your ego be leveled by the difficulties and sort of see yourself as a common traveler and citizen of Earth. Yes, we all go through suffering. Yes, we all go through pain. We all have longings. We all have dreams. And that's just normal. Capricorn's normality is not, I mean, it can veer, the shadow may be conformity. The shadow may be suppression of uniqueness. Those are definitely Capricornian shadows. Whether it's the uniqueness of your gifts or the uniqueness of your suffering, like Capricorn can suppress those things. But on the other hand, Capricorn is not like, Capricorn's idea of specialness is rooted in common, ordinary acceptance of the it's like, it's much more like planet Earth. If you've ever seen the show Planet Earth, it's like if you can locate yourself in the reality of planet Earth, that TV series narrated by David Attenborough, is that his name? Yes, that's where you fit in and belong. And that's where your specialness comes from. It's that you are an earthly citizen, not some kind of extraordinary level 10 angel, So now again, you don't have to agree with that, but there's some blessings in that kind of perspective. It brings us down to earth. And it actually can relieve us of all the effort to try to heal. No, you don't have to heal. Hurting's normal. Oh, I've got to try to do something or be something special. No, you don't. You're just a human. Everyone dies someday, and no one's specialness is, there's a few exceptions, but the vast majority of humans that have lived are not even remembered anymore. Like that kind of Capricornian realism can be relieving. Sometimes it's suppressive. It depends on the situation. Number 4, if you're not maturing, then you're only dying. Each one of these are like, happy Monday, everybody. If you're not maturing, then you're only dying. Capricorn's like, look, if spiritually or in your disciplines or your crafts or your arts or your relationships, if you're not getting better, by better, we mean wiser or more skilled, or Capricorn looks at things and says, are you developing? Are you growing? Are you becoming wiser? Are you becoming better at things? Are you maturing? Are you getting more masterful at your subjects or your crafts or in your field or your profession? Are you becoming a wiser, elder as you grow up, like more emotionally and spiritually mature? If you're not, then you're not really living a human life. You're just in the process of dying. And Capricorn has a weird way of looking at things like that, which I know sounds sort of like, it's so bottom line, and there's kind of like it's just kind of hard. And it may not be the teaching for you. It may not be the teaching for me at certain times in my life. I don't always resonate with any of these things, right? But there is some truth to that. It's like every year, can we measure a little bit of growth? Like for me as a content creator, have I gotten a little wiser with my understanding of archetypes? Have I gotten a little better with time management? Have I gotten a little bit better as a parent or a spouse? Have I gotten a little bit better at guitar? Or have I grown with respect to my relationship with the divine? They may be subjective. There may be no final objective way of measuring or confirming those things, but I think Capricorn wants to live with just a felt sense that we're working on things and we're seeing results. We're seeing actual living proof of having put the work in and gotten better at something or improved upon something. And that if you're not doing that, there's a way in which you're just waiting to die. Because the purpose of life on some level from Capricorn's perspective is to climb a great mountain, right? So if you're not climbing the mountain, then you're just sitting around waiting to die. Again, do you have to agree with that? No, you don't. That's Capricorn's perspective, but Pluto and Capricorn really asks us to consider, like, are you just doing the same thing over and over again? Or are you growing in any way? Number 5, life isn't fun. I can't even tell you how much fun I had writing these. Life isn't fun and your destiny isn't special. Oh, no, I don't mean any of this. So, life isn't fun. From Capricorn's perspective, life can be fun. Anything can be fun, but it isn't inherently fun. Just like life isn't inherently joyful, it can be joyful. Life isn't inherently happy or peaceful. It can be peaceful. It can be happy. It can be joyful. Big difference. Sometimes people mistake this for pessimism. From Capricorn's point of view, it's not. I recently heard an interview with, what's his name? I think his name is Trevor Noah. He's a talk show host. I think he's from South Africa. Anyway, he was talking, and I saw this, I think it was on like Instagram or something. He was talking about how he's been traveling around the world and different people have very different understandings of happiness. And I think he was talking about being in Japan where there was more of a sense of contentment. And there was another place where happiness was more about a kind of a sense of social belonging or participation. And I just think it's interesting because sometimes I feel like our version of happiness, at least in the modern like West, quote unquote, is it's like joy on crack. We're just supposed to be beaming. Like we're supposed to be so excited all the time. And you know, Capricorn's perspective is that things come and things go. Capricorn is a sign intimately aware of impermanence, as well as the absurdities, the dark humor of life, and the difficulties of life. And Capricorn is truly a joyful sign, but it doesn't like joy that lives too far away from an understanding of the shadows. Scorpio is a very similar sign in that respect, which is why Cap and Scorpios often get along very well. Anyhow, life isn't fun does not mean that life can't be fun. It's just that you don't deserve or are not entitled to a happy, joyful experience 24/7. And the more we know that and accept that with a kind of adult understanding, the more easy it is to actually find those currents of happiness and then to be okay when they go away because you know they come and go. That kind of mature awareness of the fluctuations of things like joy, happiness is crucial for Capricorn. Also, your destiny isn't special. We kind of went over that earlier. You aren't any better than anyone else, but your destiny isn't special doesn't mean you don't have a destiny. It just means that the more comfortable you get, the more content that we feel with our unique destiny, the more that we feel like it couldn't have been anything else for anyone else but me in the way that it is. That this cuts away at the idea that your destiny is supposed to make you special. Destiny couldn't be anything other than special because there's no one else like you. And Capricorn is really aware of that point, that crucial point, that destiny is special. And so there's a way in which destiny is common. And the more humble and common we are about destiny, the more we can actually inhabit it and appreciate it. It might sound like we're saying be a stoic, but we're not. And stoics were not without joy, by the way. But there's a joy found in the commonness, in the simplicity of destiny that I think a lot of us are missing. Like we think destiny needs to be something bigger than what it is because we've yet to understand the way in which even humble destiny paths confirm that there's nobody like us. And that confirmation, however simple or humble it is just as profound as any other destiny. And like Capricorn wants us to be aware of that because there's something like Capricorn really feels comfortable walking with other people in life who have this unassuming confidence in the just so-ness of what they're doing and what loads they're carrying, what burdens they have, and people who can laugh along with others in the face of it all, who can bear it and laugh and find that their specialness is rooted in the ability to bear and live with what is common and simple about their destiny, not what is profound and aggrandized. So, okay. That's it for today. Good luck. Seriously, I hope that these were interesting insights. Remember that every sign, when every planet and every sign is like a little philosophical school. There's like little teachings and beliefs, like a little mandala that comes with it. And what I presented today, I think, is a little like Pluto in Capricorn specific. There are so many other dimensions to the sign of Capricorn, like Venus in Capricorn, very, very different kinds of, like, you could go to the Venus in Capricorn school, and I think you'd find a very different list. So take these, use them, work with them, think with them. Don't take them literally. Don't take them as dogmas. At least not that they're, without knowing that there aren't competing doctrines and dogmas that all the planets in the different signs have and present us with. These should feel familiar. We know these teachings. We've heard these teachings. Maybe you like to turn the channel whenever you hear someone popping off with one of these teachings, but nonetheless, we becoming familiar with them, learning them, being present with them in the next couple of months, I think will be important as Pluto finishes up here in Capricorn. All right, that's what I've got for you today. I hope this was interesting. Don't forget the year one course now on sale. I hope to see some of you in class in November, where we go to cosmic school with all of the archetypes and learn so much about this beautiful language. All right, take it easy. Bye.